Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today, man, I'm going to be doing a story time. I haven't done one of these in a long time. I made a whole separate channel to do these and everything. I haven't really stayed active on it or anything, but I thought like I was just gonna, I haven't uploaded here on the main channel in a while. I made some other videos that are probably also going to go out today. If they don't go out today, they're going to go out tomorrow, but I wanted to put something on the channel today, and I was just out driving, right? Like I went and had my car serviced this morning and everything, and I went for a drive today, and I just kind of think when I'm driving, right? I just drive along down the highway or whatever, and I just kind of think about whatever the fuck it is that comes to mind. And something came to mind that like I haven't thought about in years. Like it was actually kind of crazy. This usually doesn't happen, you know what I mean? Like I don't usually just randomly think about especially something like this. I mean, I'd be having like the first grade embarrassing memories, like when I fucking broke something in front of the whole class or something stupid like that, but I don't just be thinking about like, just random one-off experiences like this. But this is one that like actually when it happened, man, like it really kind of changed my mentality on shit a lot, because it was just so sad to like see somebody have to go through that. Actually, I'm gonna tell you guys two stories today technically, because there's two different like I guess experiences that I want to talk about in this video. So I came home and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna get stoned and I'm gonna tell everybody about these stories, right? Because it just came to mind when I was driving, and I just couldn't like, I don't know, I couldn't remember like actually important shit, but then just like stuff to this comes to mind. I don't know, it's just like one-off experiences, but like I guess they're not really one-off experiences if like I kind of learned something from them or like my mindset changed from them, right? But anyway, I'm gonna tell y'all the first story here. Now this happened back in like, I don't know, 2017. This is before I was even doing YouTube like full-time professionally, whatever you want to call it. This is actually back when I still worked at Little Caesars, man. I don't know if y'all knew that about me, but I have some videos here on the channel where I talk about my experience working in fast food, working at Little Caesars and whatnot before I did YouTube, back when I was still in school and shit. You can always go watch those videos after this one. I think I got a story time playlist, if I'm not mistaken, on my channel. You could just kind of like watch all these in or whatever. But anyway, man, this is back when I was still, actually both of these stories, now I think about it, happened from work, kind of, okay? So the first story anyway, I had just gotten off of work, right? And it's the middle of the summer. It's like 98 degrees outside here in Ohio, man. And it ain't no air conditioner or anything inside of Little Caesars either. That's what like really kind of was super shitty about the job, especially like when it got hot outside, is that bitch was already filled with ovens and like was already hot. But then you add in the fact that there wasn't any sort of air circulation. Oh my God, it was like working in a fucking sweatshop, man. It sucked. But anyway, man, I was driving home from work one day, right? And I was thirsty. So before I got home, like I started to drive across town and shit. I had to just, go for like however long. I was like, I don't really want to wait until I get all the way back to the house. I'm going to go through the drive-thru real quick. Now, I don't know if you guys know what the drive-thru is. Every time I talk about these online, like when I've mentioned them on Twitter or anything like that, hella people are always like, oh, what is a drive-thru? What is a drive-thru? Well, we have these here in Ohio. I don't know where they are elsewhere. Like I've heard they've got them in like Texas, and like there's some in Pennsylvania and Indiana and shit like that. But it seems like only some spots in the US have these. Essentially, it's just like a long building that's a drive-thru convenience store. Like imagine like going to the corner store, like going to the gas station or something, except you don't even have to get out the car. You just literally drive through it. There's a tunnel through the entire place. But there's this one drive-through in my city. A lot of people around me are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention the name of the place, but this place was also a chicken place. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever went to like a gas station chicken place or nothing like that, man, but this place was like better than KFC, hands down. Like it wasn't even close, man. This gas station chicken was so fucking fire, but that's a different time or a different story. In this one, I got to talk about the actual drive-thru experience. So I wasn't going through there to get any food or anything. Like I said, they had like a drive-thru convenience store attached to it. So I went through here because I wanted to get a couple Gatorades before I went back to the house and everything. That way I didn't have to go to Walmart later or anything like that, right? So I just went ahead and was going to grab all my drinks at once through this little drive-thru, and then I was going to go home, right? And I just got off work, I'm tired as shit. I'm wore out. I'm not expecting anything to pop off, but unfortunately a horrible situation unfolds inside of this drive-thru, man. So I pull up behind this car who's already being helped by by the like cashier or the person who runs the place. And keep in mind, the dude who's like actually doing the business side of this whole thing, he's an older man, you know, he's probably like at that time, if I had to think, he was probably like in his 50s, maybe even his 60s. Like, he definitely wasn't a young dude, right? And you could tell, like, because I talked to him after, like, he was such a polite and respectful person. And that's what really pissed me off about this entire situation, man, because like, if anyone didn't deserve for this shit to happen to him, it was honestly this guy. Like, deadass was just at work, you know, trying to make a living, trying to provide for himself and his family, do a service to his community by being the drive-through convenience store of the neighborhood. And he got completely punked for it, man. It was complete bullshit. But anyway, the car in front of me had like 3 or 4 dudes in it, right? And it's got like a door that goes to the gas station part of the business or whatever. So he comes through there, right? And he starts like talking to them, you know what I mean? And he's like, hey, how can I help you or whatever, right? And they immediately just get fucking completely wreck on this guy. Like, they just start yelling at him for no fucking reason. Like, the dude who's driving the car just loses his mind from the jump. He's like, hey, yo, man, we've been waiting here for 3 fucking minutes. And in my head, I'm sitting here thinking like, man, 3 minutes is not a long wait, bro. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. There wasn't anybody else in front of him at the drive-thru or anything like that. But you got to keep in mind, this place isn't just a drive-thru, you know? Like, it's a gas station, it's a chicken restaurant, and it's a drive-thru convenience store. Like, there's literally like no way that could just be completely monitored all the time at the same time, right? So the dude was inside doing whatever, ringing up customers or whatever. He was clearly the only person working. And so he came out, I guess, 3 minutes after they pulled up, and like, that was just enough for them to be fucking mad about. I'm like, bro, I know you don't got anything else to be doing right now to have you so mad over 3 minutes of your time, but anyway, right? And the guy just starts like apologizing, like, yeah, I'm sorry, you know, and they just cut him off immediately, just fucking screaming at him, talking about, man, get us our fucking shit, you know? And the guy's like pleading with him, you know, like, hey, what do you want me to get you? Because they're not even telling him. They're just like, hey, yo, get my shit. And it's like, bro, he can't even get anything for you because you can't even just settle down and like communicate it, you know? Like, you're so mad over a fucking 3-minute wait. He's like slamming his hand on the side of his car out the window and shit, like screaming out the window at this dude who's just trying to run this business. The people like in the back and in the side of the car like being real obnoxious, you know, like they're laughing real loud. They're like slamming on the windows, just being fucking stupid, right? Like, they were dead ass in there just like throwing themselves around so hard. The car's like bouncing on the suspension and shit. I'm like, bro, y'all are just violating an old man trying to run a business and you think you're fucking sweet for it or something. I don't know, but like, eventually the dude just starts screaming like, hey, yo, we said we want fucking Coke. Naming off fucking 6 different beverages and shit for all these people in the car. And the dude is like scrambling around at this point because he's fucking scared, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know what's going on. He's getting screamed at and shit like that over, like, I'm assuming probably like $8 worth of shit. A 3-minute wait, which is not bad whatsoever. Like, bro, if you get impatient over 3 minutes of waiting, my boy, like, you got a problem, man. That's crazy. But eventually he goes and he grabs all this shit and he brings it back and they're like, no, I fucking said, and they, you know, just screaming their order off or whatever. I guess he grabbed like one of the wrong shit or something. I don't know. It was completely unwarranted is the point. And he goes and he rings it up. They hand him like a bunch of fucking crumpled up money. You know, he's sitting there like trying to count it at the register and whatnot. Dude's yelling, oh, hurry up and shit, acting a complete fool. And to be honest with you, like, the corniest part of the entire thing was like everybody else in the car. Because like, if that was my friend, right? Like, if I was sitting in the passenger seat of my friend's car and he was like dead ass violating an old ass man like that for no fucking reason, like, I definitely wouldn't be sitting there bouncing up and down, fucking screaming and laughing and slamming on the windows and shit. Like, bro, they sat there and they hyped him up. That was the real problem. Like, they sat there and they hyped that shit up and they like acted like it was funny and they just basically encouraged that shit, and it made this dude keep acting that way. Like, it was so fucking corny. There was nothing funny about any of it. There was nothing justifiable about any of it. And this man was like on the verge of tears, you know what I mean? Like, I know people are gonna say shit like, oh, why didn't the dude square him up or throw hands at him? It's like, bro, there's like 3 or 4 dudes in the car half your age being aggressive towards you, fucking slamming on the door of the car and shit, screaming profanities in your face, calling you fucking names. I can't even say the names that they were calling him either. They were calling him, you know, the F slur, N-word, all type of shit. Like, they were just screaming at this dude, just calling him fucking just being ignorant as fuck. Like, and they sat there for 4 minutes. That's what was crazy about the whole thing. Like, they got mad about like, oh, they had to wait 3 minutes or whatever. They sat there for like 4 fucking minutes, completely complicating the entire process of what was going on, when they could have just fucking, you know, took a 20-second transaction and left, you know, and saved their time and not made themselves look like complete fucking idiots in front of anyone who saw that. They were going in on it, man. And like, this dude like was clearly like upset, bro, because like after they eventually, you know, get their shit, like he hands them their change back, the dude took the coins of the change and fucking threw it at the guy, like out the window type shit, like leaned out his driver window and just fucking cannons all this like handful of change at this old dude, and then just rolls his windows up and shit and just drives off. And like, just, it was so fucked up. And I talked to the dude like after it happened, I'm like, hey, like, I'm genuinely sorry that just happened to you. Like, I don't even understand what the fuck just went down, you know? And he's like, oh, you know, it happens. I'm like, bro, no, that shit should not be happening. You know what I mean? Like, no, it doesn't just happen, bro. Like, you were literally just assaulted over a 3-minute wait. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't just something to try and brush off like that. I felt bad as fuck for him, man. Like, but I drove past that gas station / convenience store, whatever, earlier, right? And it made me think of that. It was crazy as shit. Like, I looked in there, like, down through the drive-thru, and I was like, damn, it was like a flashback type shit. It was crazy, but ended up remembering that, man. And I remember how that made me feel, like, because I remember the drive home after that, man. Like, I'm just sitting there. I was low-key kind of pissed off. I was like, that was just so unnecessary. Like, that was just vile, for real. There was nothing about that was justifiable, you know? I would have got it if, like, you know, the dude came at them. You feel me? Like, if they were in the car and they're like, hey, man, we've been waiting here for a minute, and he was like, hey, yo, go fuck yourself, step up out the car. You know what I mean? Like, if it was something like that, I could understand him getting wild, but like, the dude was super polite and respectful. He was super helpful, you know what I mean? Like, and when I pulled up to him, you know, like, he was still completely fucking frazzled. Like, he did not know what he was doing, you know? He was all over the place. It was sad as fuck to watch. I'm like, that was somebody's father, you know what I mean? Like, that's somebody in the city's dad that you just did that to. Some old ass man trying to provide for his family, and you just fucking violated him like that for literally no good reason. I don't know, man. It was shit like that pisses me off, man. Like, making victims out of people who don't deserve to be victims type shit. And I don't know, man. But anyway, moving on to the second story. Like I said, they both happened, you know, coming to from work, whatever type of thing. But this second one, I don't know if I ever mentioned this in like my fast food horror stories videos or anything like that, but we had a really stupid policy when I worked at Little Caesars. And I've heard, I haven't worked in like a bunch of like grocery stores or nothing like that, but I've heard that this is kind of like commonplace at restaurants and stuff like that. And I really don't understand why, man. Like, I don't get why. But I remember like, especially one night, and this is when it really hit me, like, what the fuck are we actually doing? You know what I mean? But it was one of the nights that I had to close, right? And part of closing up like a restaurant like that is, of course, you got inventory and shit like that that's been brought out of the freezer and it's been sitting out. Like, you can't just be putting shit back in the freezer if it's been sitting out on the trays for fucking hours being put on pizzas and whatnot. You can't just do that, right? So what they would do is, like, we had like these racks that we would make pizzas and we'd put them on like before they went into the oven, because like we had the hot and readies, you know, like people could just come in and order like, hey, I need 3 pepperonis, and you need to have them bitches like ready, you know? So like, we always had all these pizzas prepped and shit, and later at night, like, instead of putting back the ingredients, they would just have the people assembling pizzas like put together a fuck ton of pizzas, right? So it would get to the point where we have like 100 fucking pizzas stacked up on these racks, man, ready to go through the ovens, right? You can only put in like probably 2 or 3 pizzas on a rack at a time, like, to adequately cook them through the conveyor or whatever. So it would take a while to cook all that shit, you know what I mean? So it was getting close to like, you know, closing down the store and whatnot. It was like probably 10 o'clock at night or some shit like that. And basically, man, like, we would have all these leftover pizzas that hadn't been put through the oven. So what they would do is, like, obviously, you know, right before close, we're not about to have that many customers or anything. So we would put out like a decent amount that we would put in boxes and shit just in case, like, you know, a late night pop happened or something. But 90% of them pizzas were not going to get cooked and served. So what would we do? Okay, so we would have to do the trash run at the end of the night, and then we'd have to run all these pizzas through, and we would literally line the trash cans right up at the end of the conveyor belt, and we'd have to scoop them fucking pizzas that were just put fresh through the oven cooked, and we would have to throw them right into into those big ass trash cans. It wasn't no, oh, you can take the pizza home. Oh, give it to the homeless people who literally live right outside of the restaurant. Anything like that. Like, no good use for it whatsoever, right? Let's just throw it in the fucking trash. And there was no exception to this. Like, if you didn't do it, you were gonna get fired. You know what I mean? Like, that was a company policy. Like, you had to throw that shit away. And we had, like, I think at the time, 3 or 4 homeless people that lived in the alley behind our pizza place and around the area, you feel me? Like, around the gas station and shit like that. But there was one who was known for trying to attack employees doing trash runs because he wanted to steal food from the trash, and you know, I'd show up with a shank or some shit and try and stab you the fuck up in the parking lot. So we had to like 2-man that shit, you know what I mean? Like, we had to have like a fucking work buddy come out and take trash with us or whatever, right? But we would be running like 100 pizzas out to the fucking trash at the end of the night and throwing bags upon bags of just pizza that is fresh out the oven, still steaming and shit. We'd have to throw it into the garbage and throw that shit away. Like I said, you got homeless people who are living behind the fucking place. Like, these are people that don't have a roof over their head. They don't have a secure source of food. They're already eating out of the fucking trash can. And it's not like it's gonna lose the company any extra money. You're already losing the money by putting the product through the oven, cooking it, and then throwing it the fuck away. Why not write it off by just giving it to the food bank or like donating it to the fucking homeless? But like, it really made me think, man, like when I worked there, we were just throwing away food that could have served such a much better purpose. You know what I mean? Like, and you got to think, man, like at the time I was 17, bro, like I had co-workers who were 20 years old with 2 kids and like moms and shit working there and like single dads and people who like didn't have, you know, they were working at fucking Little Caesars making $8.25 an hour at the time, bro. Like, you were not living off that shit, you know what I mean? Like, you weren't rich or anything. Like, that was maybe enough to get by if you had some other way to make money or had someone else in the house helping you or something. But for a lot of these people, man, they were struggling to make ends meet, man. And like for their job to like just give them a fucking pizza to take home to their family, man, so they don't gotta worry about fucking, you know, feeding their family in some other type of way, you know. What does that like, how does that hurt? I don't understand how that hurts anybody, man. It's a $5 fucking pizza. You're telling me the company can afford to throw away $500 worth of pizza at the end of a shift, but they can't afford to give away $500 worth of pizza. It just didn't never make any sense to me, man. And like, it felt so shitty doing that. Like, I felt so fucking nasty just scraping that pizza out of them pans, man, into that trash. Like, that just felt so fucking wrong. And like, anytime the homeless people, cause like I go out to my car, you know, to go home or like to take a coworker home or something, you know, sometimes the homeless people would come up to the cars and they'd be like, hey man, do you have any like spare change or anything? And like, I would do, like, you got to do what you can for them, man. Like, I'd give them a couple bucks or something. And people always say shit like, oh, you never know what they're gonna do with that money. They could go get crack with that money. I'm like, you know what? I would rather give that homeless dude that I just had to throw 100 fucking pizzas away in front of, right, who may or may not have dinner for the night. I would rather give him 3 of the $8.25 that I made that hour and make sure he can get through another night by going to the gas station across the street and getting a fucking sandwich or something out of it. You know, I would rather do that and him say, fuck you, I'm gonna go buy crack with your money, than for me to turn away somebody who's actually genuinely in need, right? And like, there were multiple other people in the store who felt this way. Like, why are we throwing away this fucking food? Like, there's literally homeless people out in the parking lot asking us for money when we get off our shifts. And we're like, these people already don't have money, but yet the company's just fucking throwing away. Like, I don't know, man. That just never sat right with me. And like, I don't think it should sit right with anyone, man. Like, at a certain point, like, you're already losing the fucking money. Like, just, I don't know. Anyway, that's the end of this video, man. I feel like I've rambled on enough about it. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, telling you about some of the saddest shit I've ever seen.